That's right. We're back again. The Joes bringing your fantasy thunder. I'm your host, Ollie, along with my main man on the mic, Dave Notonio Allen. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
Doing all right. If y'all didn't hear, a couple of episodes back, we let Dave off the hook for the Antonio Brown stuff, and then ever since we did, Antonio Brown's been doing more and more stupid things. So now he's he's a NASCAR driver. I don't know. It was he was a furniture mover before. Now he's a NASCAR driver. And what's going? Did he have an excuse for the 100 miles per hour?
Not that I've seen. Hasn't been too much news about it. You know, the Steelers came out and said that they know about the ordeal and process that as the week goes on. But no, the police officer or the guy that called him, the officer said that they were looking for someone that had just robbed
the bank. Right.
And then and they saw Antonio.
They thought he was the getaway driver. Oh man, that's hilarious. Well, I don't know. With all these things adding up, it may be adding up to a suspension next year. We'll see. Luckily, no one got hurt. So once again, he's dodged a couple of different bullets here. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, want to thank everybody for coming back again this evening. Thank you guys for supporting the show and listening in. We do appreciate it from the heart more than you guys actually know. And want to thank everyone behind the scenes who is supporting the show and getting the word out and commenting with us and all that great stuff. We do appreciate that. Malik Burris, I've not forgotten about you. These chips are just in short supply, so I have them coming in. When I get them in, they're coming out to you probably next week. Haven't forgotten about you. Speaking of, visit us on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is the Average Joe's Fantasy Football Podcast, and on Instagram, it is Average Joe's Fantasy Football _ between each word. And please take 1 minute, like the show, subscribe, and leave a comment. We did have a question of the week last week. I don't believe anybody answered the question correctly this week. The winner would get to pick the intro music for our following show. No, that's not as good as the Creamy Ranch Habanero. We're definitely going back to that eventually, but still pretty cool. If you know the answer, go ahead and drop it in. No big deal. Dave, do you have that question of the week so we can remind everybody?
Yeah, I can pull it up real quick. I believe. Let me see.
I'm sorry to throw you off here. I should have mentioned that earlier.
No. Good. Let me see. All right. The question is, I have thrown less than 3 interceptions all season and more than 2,500 yards, yet I'm still outside of the top 12 quarterbacks in fantasy points. Who am I?
All right. There it is, folks. Go ahead and answer that, and then we will allow you to pick the music, the intro music for the next show. And again, as long as it's not offensive or whatever, anything's fine. All right, so we got a big show. We got football tonight, starting a little bit late, so we're going to try to jump through this and get through it as quickly as possible. We're going to do the Week 10 preview. We are going to real quickly talk about a couple of injuries. We'll do some starts and sits tonight, and the segment that we love so much, we're sitting them, so you start them. And then we actually have a couple of listener questions this evening we're going to go over. And man, Week 10, man, the year is flying by, Dave. We're more than halfway through. Are you sad?
I kind of am. I was actually just thinking that right before we started. I said, man, I feel like I waited so long for this.
Yeah, it's just going by quick. It's like Christmas.
It's almost over. Yeah.
You wait all year for it, and it's here and it's gone. Yeah, man, more than halfway gone. And I started looking at the fantasy basketball to maybe fill that hole when football is done. But fantasy basketball is not quite the same, man. It's a little different.
It just doesn't do it.
No, it don't. It doesn't. I mean, and it's also kind of annoying because you got to check it every single day because one team's playing this day. And, oh man. But anyhow, let's go ahead and jump on it. Let's go ahead and talk about these weeks. No, before we do that, let's go ahead and real quickly talk about a few injuries. We're not going to go through all of them like we did before. Just a couple of under the radar, quick ones. I have a couple here. Dave, if you have a couple, that's fine. If not, we'll jump into the games. Both offensive tackles for the Dolphins are listed as questionable. They both had limited practices this week. If Gore averaged 2.8 yards per carry last week, imagine what he's going to get, with the tackles out. So get ready for 20 carries and freaking 40 yards. Do you have anything, Dave, on the injuries?
Well, most of mine I was just going to talk about the game, so I can just,
Excellent. All right, also, Chris Thompson looks to be out this week, so you may want to fire up if you're really, really tight and just need someone to throw in there. Capri Bibbs might have a game for you, and looks like Chris Carson is still dealing with that hip or whatever injury, so Mike Davis is going to be a good start this week, possibly.
Hey, I did want to real quick before we get too into it, and we don't have to get too into what I'm about to say, but I just thinking of fantasy basketball.
Yeah.
If you do play, are you going to draft Le'Veon Bell on your team? I heard he was playing basketball in Pittsburgh a couple days ago.
No, he's gonna sit out. He's gonna sit out, man. He's like, no, I need that LeBron James money. I'm a valuable commodity. I'm not I gotta sit out till next season. No, man. That's an interesting, we gotta get into that at some point in time. That's an interesting development. I mean, all year long you're thinking he has to show up a week 10 or he's kind of screwed for next year. Then you kind of find out the week before he has to show up. Not so much. I mean, it's very, very, very likely if he doesn't report at all this year, they're not going to re-sign him because they would have to franchise him at such a ridiculous number that no team's going to pay that much money for a running back. And then they would also get a third-round compensatory pick for him if he just leaves. So if he comes in, I can't see him playing any real role because he's not going to want to get hurt. And he doesn't really have to show up. So there's a Le'Veon Bell news. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. That's funny. Fantasy basketball. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the games here. Let's talk about a couple of teams we've talked about a lot here this year, the Saints and the Bengals. And really the big question here is whether the Bengals can keep up without A.J. Green. What do you think, man?
That's such a worry for me. I've been streaming Andy Dalton almost every time I see even some kind of juicy matchup. Because the thing for me that I was thinking about today was when you look at the Saints and you see, okay, they're 7-1.
Right.
Then you start to think most teams like that, you're like, man, these just all around great teams. But if you think about it, the Saints, they're still giving up the fourth most passing yards in the league. They just score so much.
Right.
So when you think about it like that, it's like, okay, this is a juicy matchup. But without A.J. Green, I don't trust Andy Dalton. I can't trust Andy. It makes me want to shy away from Tyler Boyd too. I just really want to go with Joe Mixon in that game from the Bengals perspective because, A.J. Green is a huge part of Dalton's success, and he gets that attention from Tyler Boyd to help him out.
Yeah. I think Boyd gets a bump here. Obviously, he's going to get the majority of the targets, so they have to pass the ball to someone. But you always need a couple of receivers, unless you're the Saints. All you need is Michael Thomas. So who's the next man up here for the Bengals? Is it John Ross? Is it Uzama? Is there another guy? Who are you thinking is going to step up outside of Boyd?
I think if Uzama is healthy, I think this definitely benefits him. I did see on a couple of my fantasy teams, I was going in, and like I said, hey, I'm looking to next year on a couple of my teams already. And I was reading through, trying to figure out that exact question, and a guy by the name of Cody Core popped up for the Bengals as might get an extended role over Josh Malone. He's a 6'3", 205-pound guy.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't dug too deep into him. So if you're
feeling lucky,
duper, like, if you want to take the chance, maybe you can look at him.
So you're not thinking a shot at John Ross. You're not throwing him in there.
He would probably be. He's just let me personally. Well, a lot of us. He just let us down so many times. You would expect this. You would expect this to be the perfect game for him, but you also expected him to be the number 2 role by AJ, and it just hasn't come. And he's dealing with a couple of injuries himself. Don't know how healthy he is. So,
I understand. I'm with you, and Uzomah, I'm hopeful. I mean, I believe he has the talent, but 2 weeks ago against Tampa Bay, which is a juicy matchup, you would think for that team, he blanked you. I don't think he got anything. So, it's going to be tough to call. Good luck with those guys. On the other side of the ball here with the Saints, what do you think now that Dez is in town? Is that a downgrade for Mike Thomas?
At first I thought so. At first I thought, okay, if Dez is coming in, then he's gonna take targets away. Like he's obviously gonna do that. Right. But I don't think I'd move Michael Thomas down to even a tad. I think, especially as this is starting off, as Dez is learning the playbook, I think we'll see Dez mainly, couple targets here and there, because Drew Brees already passes it around. I still see Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara leading this team as far as targets go. And the other big thing that helped me change my mind was the fact that in bringing in Dez, the Saints put Cameron Meredith on injury reserve today. So we're just kind of substituting in that regard.
Well, hopefully he's going to be better than Cam Meredith.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, yeah. I'm hoping so too. I picked Dez up on some of my teams where I have a better record. I don't, obviously on the teams that I'm not looking very good, I don't want to take that chance. But but in all, I still think Michael Thomas is gonna continue to be dominant.
All right. Yeah, I think about the same. I mean, Mike Thomas is just getting way too many targets. Maybe he goes from 13 targets to 11 targets, something like that. But still getting probably the most targets in the league almost. If anybody, I'm thinking possibly Ben Watson. Gets a few less targets here in the middle of the field. Yeah. I'm thinking they're going to, obviously use Dez as a possession receiver, maybe even throw him kind of in a slot here and there, so to kind of work in the middle of the field. We'll see how it works out, but no, I don't think that's a big downgrade to Mike Thomas or Alvin Kamara at all.
It does hurt your Traquan Smith believers and hopefuls. Yeah. I think that definitely hurts for this year. He's only signed to a 1-year deal, so still hold on to Traquan. He should, he's gonna end up being good. But because I'm one of those guys, and I was thinking, especially that big game that he blew up on when Drew Brees broke his records. I was like, okay, this is Traquan coming along. But with that signing of Dez, that just kind of solidifies Traquan back at that number 3.
Absolutely. All right, man. Anything else on this game?
Nope.
All right, let's go ahead.
Start up your Drew Brees. Start up your Saints players. Get them going.
Yeah, of course. I don't think Andy Dalton's going to be that great in this game. I've been burned too many times by him in a good matchups. He's had a couple good games this season and kind of let me down the rest. So I'm not even rolling him.
I did have a sneaky question.
Yeah.
Because we talked about Mark Ingram letting us down. I kind of think this might be Ingram's kind of game. I think we might get
the start of the start of the week for you.
No.
Okay.
No, he's not my start of the week. But I think I had been contemplating, because up until this game, I've been playing Ingram. And last week I actually was thinking, I'm probably gonna bench him. They played the Rams, and I was like, I think I'm gonna bench him. But this week, I think I'll play him with what you just said. Andy Dalton without AJ is not going to really be able to keep up, so it's not going to be that high-scoring game that we usually would have expected out of this game. I think they'll be able to give Ingram more volume and hopefully get in the end zone time or two.
Okay. All right, good deal. Let's go ahead and talk about the Jags and Indianapolis. And interestingly, the Jags defense hasn't lived up to the hype this year. I mean, they've been a real letdown to folks who picked them up in the 9th and 10th round like I did. However, they did come out and have a decent showing against Philly. Not a ton of fantasy points, but it was like 8 or 9 fantasy points, which had been better than what they've been doing. And they're getting Fournette back, so they can play this ball control kind of a game. How do you feel about the Jags versus Indy? With Luck having been on fire so many weeks.
That I want to be able to their defense, along with Philly's defense, and I mean you just said it. It's just not what it once was.
Right.
Don't know what the reasons for that is. I know AJ Bouye said himself he does not expect to play Sunday. Yeah. So that's gonna hurt. I mean, a little bit at least. And of course, Jack Doyle's back. They Andrew Luck's getting his weapons back. I see Andrew Luck having a pretty good game.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know how far I trust Jacksonville. If I have Jacksonville, I'm still playing them.
Yeah.
I think they're that team where, even if, Andrew Luck's throwing, like we said, 30 passes or whatever. So even if Andrew Luck is getting 2-3 touchdowns, whatever, Jaguars are the type of defense that can get you an interception, can get you a fumble recovery, this, that, and the third.
I mean, Luck's thrown some interceptions this year. A couple of games back, he threw 3 interceptions. Game before that, threw 2 interceptions against the New England Patriots. So, I mean, you can turn the ball over against. The thing is, he's still going to throw 4 touchdowns. So, I mean, it's going to have 4 touchdowns. Right. That's happening, but you can get maybe a couple of interceptions, and who knows? If the Jags can take one to the house, you may have a shot there.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not. I had to go with them. It was actually down. It's how sad it's gotten for me between the Jags and actually trying to start the New York Giants defense versus San Francisco. That's how bad it's gotten. Because you drafted the Jags to be every week, don't have to worry about my defense, kind of a starter, and they just haven't been there. So I went to the waiver wire, and the best streamer this week, in my opinion, was the Giants versus San Francisco. With this, with Mullins being still a green quarterback, and I went ahead and picked them up, but I ended up dropping the Giants because I wanted to pick up Chris Conley for Kansas City. With Sammy Watkins being out. So I dropped him, but I don't know. I'm hoping for Fournette to come back, and having had enough rest, he can really help the offense out, and at the same time help the defense out. How do you feel about the Philly?
Are you trusting him?
Trusting him? No, but you have to put him out there. I don't trust him, but I mean, you draft him in the first round. You don't have anything better on the bench, and if he's playing, you have to cross your fingers and toes and hope that he can make it through the game.
Absolutely. Okay, and so to go off of that, I have T.J. Yeldon in one of my leagues. I'm not the Fournette owner.
Okay.
My thinking, I was planning on still rolling with Yeldon because of the fact that I feel like through these weeks that Fournette's been out, even if Fournette comes back and gets his carries, I think Yeldon has completely, I feel like he did this at the beginning of the year, but definitely now has solidified his role as the pass catching back, and I think he'll get more usage. So are you still think Yeldon is a good role, even if you're not the Fournette owner for this week?
No, I don't like him all that much. And I can see where you can say, hey, maybe, the Jags defense completely falls apart, and they're playing from behind, and you get a lot of Yeldon possibly. But you could see before Fournette went out, they were working him a lot more into the passing game than he had been
Sure, yeah.
previous years. So they don't want to take him off the field and make it obvious that if he's in the game, okay, we're handing the ball off. We have to pass him the ball some to make it a little more diversified. I don't know, man. I mean, he's probably still an okay flex, I suppose, but you're probably hoping for a touchdown there. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's okay. So I'm not high on him as I don't think he's going to get anywhere near, obviously, what he's been doing with Fournette out.
Right,
So just
absolutely.
be careful. If there's a better option out there, I may roll that. I don't know. Let me ask you about Marlon Mack, because obviously he's been on fire the last few games. The lowest point total in the last couple of games was 89 yards, and that was against the Jets, where they were pretty much, kind of in a shootout, so to speak, and he averaged 7.4 yards per carry in that particular game. How do you think he does against this Jags front? If there's any strength there, it's the Jags front.
Yeah, definitely. I think I still like him. I still like Mack, and it's just because of the amount of touches that they give him, regardless of what's on the other side, and his usage in the passing game coming out of the backfield. And Luck is not afraid at all to dump it off real quick to Mack, and Mack he can run through you, he can make a move. Only thing I know it's a recurring thing, and he continues to play, but I'm concerned because he's still on the injury report every week, and they just had a bye. He's still on the injury report, so that's still concerning to me, especially going against this front where he's gonna take hits. He's gonna take big hits because these guys are big. But yeah, if I've got him, I'm playing him.
Sounds good. All right, man. Let's go ahead and talk about the Rams and Seattle. Now, I have a crazy stat here. And before I jump into the stat, let's talk about that. A crazy stat here. Over the last 2 games, I heard today that Todd Gurley has had 7 touchdowns in the last 2 games against Seattle. Do you think he's good? I mean, don't get me wrong. You're playing Gurley. We're not even talking about whether you're playing him or not. But, under 3 touchdowns this game, man.
Oh, my God.
He's torching him, man.
He was beasting, but not, I didn't know he was doing that. Wow. Oh, my.
Yeah, I don't know. Wow. I mean, I'd probably go under. I'm thinking 2 touchdowns. I mean, does Seattle have a chance in this game at all?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Okay.
I was going back.
You said at first. I was like, oh, he's going to tell me something different. That was a no.
I faked you out there. I pulled a levy on. I showed up to the city, but I didn't come all the way.
You see me playing basketball, but I'm not coming to the football field. That's hilarious.
No, I don't think so. I was going back and I looked, and I noticed that last time Rams and Seattle won, it was 33-31. And so I looked at that and I was like, wow. And Russell Wilson had 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Goff had 1 touchdown and 2 picks. And I think Gurley had 70-something yards. I said, oh, okay, Seattle played maybe this was just a division thing.
Yeah.
Then I remembered the first half of that game, Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp both went out.
Okay.
So I was like, so we've seen Cooper Kupp alone, how much that affects Jared Goff.
Yeah.
So to be without Cooks too, that's a totally different story. So no, I don't think we see that close game again. I think the Rams come in here, especially coming off of that tough loss against the Saints.
Yeah.
I think they take care of business. I believe they're at home this time too. I think the Rams just take care of business on all cylinders.
If you remember my big, bold prediction, I think a week or 2 ago, I said that the Rams were going to lose 2 games this season, 1 to Seattle, and then the next week to Kansas City. That was before, though, they had you can't call it a letdown, they had the loss to the Saints. I thought they were going to beat the Saints, and then we're going to get caught in the trap game with Seattle because they're thinking about Kansas City 2 weeks from now, and
absolutely
they lost to the Saints. So I think they come into this game pissed off, and it's not going to be close. I think you can get something, though, out of Russell Wilson. If the Rams come and do what they do, Russell should be throwing the ball and also running for his life. So you got those two components. You may get a decent game out of Russell, and I think we're still down Talib. He's not there just yet, so if there is a soft spot in the defense, it is throwing the ball here. How do you feel about Mike Davis this week? If let's say Carson doesn't go, which it looks like he's still going to be limited.
Yeah, that's what's so tough for me. I liked Mike Davis. Once again, I liked Mike Davis at first when I first looked at this before I dove into it. And if the Rams just jump out to the, and I know Mike Davis is used in the passing game, I know that. But if the Rams jump out to this lead that we're expecting them to do, I think they go away from Davis pretty quickly. I understand playing him because of the possibility that there's with fantasy. Of course, there's always a possibility. So I understand playing him. I actually am going to play him in one of my leagues where I need to. I don't have a choice, and I'm not very upset about it. But they've got a couple. Doug Baldwin's dealing with a groin injury. Like you said, Wilson's going to be running for his life, so we might see screen passes being incorporated. We might see quick dump offs to Mike Davis. They might find a way to ease the pressure.
Right. Are you thinking anything about Baldwin this week? Because I actually had him on my list of people that possibly could surprise, or still downgrading him for the injury and just haven't had generally overall a bad season so far.
I mean,
he might be one of the biggest disappointments of the year. If you had to put 5 names on the list, he may be up there because there were people drafting him in the second round.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, and with good reason. I mean, he's shown it. Just this unfortunate injury, and he said even when he came back that he was going to be dealing with this all year. I think we spoke on that, and I actually believe that was a knee injury, if I'm not mistaken, and the one on the injury on this injury report that I have is a groin injury for yesterday when he was I think he was held out, or was he limited? He was held out. I didn't see anything today. If Doug Baldwin goes, you're not getting a 100% Baldwin, which you haven't gotten all season. And I just don't think trusting Doug Baldwin in this game in particular against these guys is the route you want to go. He's going to be seeing Marcus Peters, who, by the way, unfortunately, as a side note, got killed by Michael Thomas last week. It was awful. So I think he's another guy that's going to – everybody, as a unit, the Rams are out for blood. And then we have individuals. Well, Marcus Peters is definitely trying to come out and reclaim. And, of course, going against a hobbled Doug Baldwin, it's going to be easier.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's a tough one for Doug. I'd probably – if I'm picking a receiver, I think I'll go with David Moore just because of his –
Okay.
Yeah, just because of the he had 2 touchdown drops last game.
Oh, my God. Don't I know it, because I was going up against you, and if he had caught one of those, the game would have been a lot closer. We appreciate it, Dave. We appreciate it. Anyhow, because I had Russell Wilson, that would have been a touchdown. Oh, never mind. Forget it. But, yeah, I was going to ask about David Moore. So if you had to play, let's say you had that option, either Baldwin or Moore, you would put Moore in over Baldwin.
Yeah, I'm going with David. Yep.
Wow, that's something to watch. Write that one down and remember it for next week. I would like to see who comes out on top there. All right, man. Anything else about this game?
No, sir. I think we're good.
Let's go ahead and talk about Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, a division game, always tough. Your account here, my man. Now, Dallas has a super solid defense. How do you think Philly offense does here?
Oh man, I think we're gonna be fine, and I say that because of and I try not to do this. This is the fan side of me coming out real quick. After what I just saw the Titans do to Dallas in Dallas, I'm not worried at all.
Oh, he has his feet up, ladies and gentlemen. All right, he has his flip-flops on. You know what I mean? He got his little pina colada and some shades on. The last time I did that, I lost to you. Okay, in our league. I had a 99% chance of winning the game. That's what the computer told me. I had my flip-flops on. I had my shades on. I was cooling out. And then I had halfway through the game, so I'm like, whoa, what's happening here? All right, Dallas, you heard it here. He's not concerned about you guys at all.
Hey, I got a couple of reasons.
Go ahead, okay.
Yeah, so we're not going to have to see Sean Lee, who unfortunately has been battling with injuries up and down throughout the season. He's out. He limped off last game. Connor Williams, their really good left guard that they drafted, is out for Sunday. He has to have surgery on his right knee, so he will not be playing.
This is Dallas offensive lineman?
Yeah, Dallas offensive lineman. One of them is, he's down for you. Tavon Austin. I mean, not Tavon. I don't know why I said that.
Right, don't even mention him.
Elliott,
don't mention him.
Owners. For you Zeke owners, that he's down. So I will say we're missing Jalen Mills, our corner. He won't be playing, and our other corner, Sidney Jones, won't be. But I'm still not. I don't think. Okay. It's not a concern to me. we're getting to our O-linemen back healthy. They're playing. I love Carson Wentz with his. I'm ready to see what Golden Tate does. Now, I will say this. I was heartbroken this week. Actually, yesterday. I got report. Darren Sproles is practicing. Should be good to go Sunday.
Oh, dude, I was gonna ask you about that. Like this Eagles backfield is perfect. It is awesome. It's a carousel. Like you're throwing darts at a dartboard to figure out which one you're going to play. It's hilarious. You got Adams, you got Smallwood, you got Clement, and now you have Sproles. And you know what? They're going to play.
Well, no, you don't.
Sproles is not playing.
No, that's what broke my heart. There was a report came out that he was, and I think it was today or yesterday morning. The very next day, report that Darren Sproles re-injured his
I didn't hear that.
Practice and now is out. Yes, so he's out.
Wow, that must have been just recently because I think as of yesterday evening he was playing.
Oh, well, okay. Well, then I think it came out. Well, Ian Rappaport reported it yesterday, and then the news story got confirmed today, I believe.
Wow.
So I think that's what the situation
okay. Well, then now it doesn't really clear up because there's still 3 other running backs there, but at least it's not as bad because I was just like laughing to myself here over how many running backs you're going to use. Okay, now you mentioned Golden Tate. Obviously, you would think that it would take him some time to get acclimated to the offense there, but the rest of, let's say it takes a couple of weeks. They've had the bye week for him to maybe kind of get it together. Who do you have the rest of the season, Tate or Alshon?
If the depth chart that I saw earlier this week is correct, give me Tate. The reason being, they have on the depth chart they listed Alshon number 1, Jordan Matthews number 2, and then Tate number 3 with Aguilar number 4.
Really?
That's what was listed on the depth chart as far as ESPN. I will see when the games actually start what we're looking at. But if that holds true, and Matthews and Alshon are on the outside, if Tate's in the slot, I believe Alshon turns back into your touchdown-dependent receiver. I think those targets are not as high. I think you see a lot of Ertz and Tate dump-offs. So I would take Tate over Alshon if that holds true. Now, Tate and Aguilar are doing this, moving around.
Right.
Who likes to line up better, then that's a different story.
Okay. Do you think Tate can come in and have a decent first game like his counterpart Amari Cooper last week?
Decent, yeah. And I think Amari had, off the top of my head, I want to say it was 3 for 60 and a touchdown, something like that, something around there. I know I'm not worried about Dallas, but their defense is a lot better than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
So for the first game coming in, even though he had technically 2 weeks to learn the playbook, I don't think it's going to be anything excellent. He would be a wait and see guy for me. If I had him on my team this week, I would stash him to wait and see, especially like I said, Sunday night game. For me to play him and then he show up and not really too much when I had a guy I should have played. So yeah, he would be a stash me this week.
Okay, and you had Ashley Cooper last week, 5 receptions, 58 yards, and a touchdown on 8 targets. Does Cooper get back into the end zone this week?
I think it's possible, and the reason I say that is because Dallas has decided, okay, we spent a first rounder. We messed up the trade market for every other team. Everybody's giving us crap about it. So you know what?
You got to make him look good.
Open,
yeah,
if he's open, throw it to him. If he's not open, throw it to him. If he's on the sideline, throw it to him. Like, give him the ball. So I think it's very, very possible. And just like the Jaguars, the Eagles' defense is not what it once was. The pass rush is not nearly the same. Connor Williams being out will help Eagles get back there quicker. But Sidney Jones is out. Jalen Mills is out. Still have Rodney McLeod out for the season. The secondary is kind of depleted. I think Cooper has enough talent to pick his poison and find some spots.
Sounds like a plan. All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and move on and talk about the game of the year. New York Giants versus San Francisco 49ers. Can't miss TV, baby. You got to be sitting down for that. The only thing I'm interested in here is Chris Mullins, how he plays. And the reason I want to know is because the San Francisco 49ers have a okay schedule down the stretch. They have 4 games out of the last 7 that are winnable to an extent. Now, let's say Mullins goes 3-4. He goes 4-4 on the year. Do we have and look sharp? Do we have a quarterback controversy in San Francisco?
You would know more than me as a fan, but I don't think so. I don't think they paid Jimmy Garoppolo all that money to come over. No.
Well, let's say Mullins looks just as sharp, and you got Jimmy G sitting there at, what is it, 130, 140 million, or you could take this guy on the rookie contract. See, you have to think back to some of these teams that are stacked right now. A lot of the teams that are stacked right now have the quarterbacks that are on rookie salaries. Wentz. You got the Rams. How can they continue to go out there and add defensive player after defensive player and Cooks and everybody else? Because they have the guy that typically costs your team the most money is only getting paid $1 million a game. Versus paying Jimmy G $15 million. Now, but I'm not that excited about Mullins. He played against Oakland. I think we could have put anybody out there against Oakland, he will look decent. But if he continues to look sharp and progress, he did beat Brett Favre's record at Southern Miss. So he has some juice here. So I'm just kind of wondering what may happen if he goes 4-4, man, and looks really good down the stretch.
I can't see it. I can't. I personally can't see it. I mean, we've seen what Jimmy G can do. The 49ers love him. I think, I think that's you're better. But like you said, I've only seen one game out of Nick. So going on, if he does look this fantastic guy, there's no telling. Right now, I can't see it.
All right. Don't have a whole lot more on this game. I would say it's very hard to call who's going to be the pass catcher for San Francisco. Obviously, you're going to roll Kittle out there. But Bourne seems to be the best out of the bunch. This guy, Bourne, off the bench, kind of came out of nowhere. You and I, earlier in the year, thought it was going to be Richie James really taking over at some point in time because he just seems uber talented. But, no, it's Bourne. Do you feel comfortable with him in this game, or?
Yeah, I was wondering.
And if you can't tell, folks, we're struggling to find anything to talk about here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up to you. I was looking at a couple of players to add as far as this game. And I saw Bourne was playing well, and then what I read was with Pierre Garçon returning last week, Bourne's playtime went down.
It did. So I'm looking at it now, but he still got a touchdown though. He didn't get as many targets like he did the game before, but he did get a touchdown.
Right, absolutely. So that's what I wanted to kind of get, because I didn't want to just go off of that. I wanted to see, because I didn't really. I will admit, I think I said this last show, but I didn't really watch the 49ers Raiders game at first because it wasn't any. And then
turned into a game, right?
But yeah, my friends were messaging me, "This Nick Mullins got blah blah blah." So then I turned it on, but it was a little too late, so I didn't really get to see. So, does Bourne look good on the field? Does he look? I mean,
yeah, I mean it looks decent. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
He looks decent. Reece James did have an okay day. He only caught 2 targets on 2 receptions on 3 passes, but he had 60 yards. So I really want to see him, man. I mean, in the preseason, this dude was like a true baller. Yeah, I really want to see what happens there. New York, I'm rolling everybody, but we'll talk about that later. But Eli, I'm a never Eli kind of a guy, but you're still going to obviously roll out there. Your Saquon Barkley's there. Sterling Shepard, how do you feel about him?
You know what? You beat me to it. I'm struggling so hard. I have one spot I'm trying to fill between him and Mohamed Sanu this week, and I keep going back and forth. And I don't know what to do, because I like Sterling more, but I like Matt more than Eli. Like I just,
oh yeah. I would probably. I'm probably gonna end up burning you, but I'm gonna go Sanu here. Yeah, I'm gonna go Sanu.
Okay.
I just feel like they're gonna be able to run the ball anytime they want against San Francisco.
Yeah.
We don't have a horrible run defense, but you can run the ball against them. Yeah, I'm going Sanu. That's what I would do. All right, man. Let's go ahead and end the conversation about this horrible game, and go ahead and get into our starts of the week here. I don't think I sniped you last time, but I'll go ahead and let you go first with the quarterback. Who's your start of the week for quarterback?
Yeah, pretty obvious. Phillip Rivers at Oakland this week.
Okay.
Oakland's giving up 20 plus fantasy points to quarterbacks the last 4 games, and really that was all I feel like that was the only reason. It's Oakland. I think that's enough said that Phillip Rivers is he's been playing well, and he's going against Oakland.
I got you. Yeah, I like Rivers as well. He's I've been playing very well. He's I think right on the fringe of QB1. I would say my only reservation there is that this should be another Melvin Gordon game, and they may not need him to come out and do a whole lot in this game. I believe last game, I can pull it up here real quickly. I guess I can't pull it real quickly. But anyhow, looks like, he only went for 228 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns, but that was on 26 pass attempts and 13 completions. And Melvin Gordon had 16 carries for 113 yards. They just didn't need him to do a whole lot against Seattle, and it's going to be even worse against Oakland. So we'll see how that goes. My start of the week here is Baker Mayfield against Atlanta. Obvious reasons. They're going to need to catch up. I think a new regime's coming in here, and they're going to do everything. They're going to see what they have in Baker. Not that he's going anywhere, but can we put this on his shoulders and make it go? I like Baker a lot this week. If you have to stream someone, and I did. I had I have Kirk Cousins on bye, and I had to go to the waiver wire. And I was looking on the waiver wire, and it was guys like Blake Bortles and stuff like that, Eli Manning, blah blah blah. So I went ahead and went straight with Baker Mayfield. So that's my start of the week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say, because I almost wrote him down, so we won't. snipe me. You clipped me. You got me a little bit. Just a little bit.
Absolutely. My running back here, I'm going with Jordan Howard. We're going to bring my man up out the ashes, man. We're taking him out of the grave. We're unburying him. And I'm going to say that he's going to be able to have a pretty good game this week because the Lions, they suck. And that's it. They're not very good right now. And then they just lost one of their best pieces on offense that can help them control the ball a little bit. And I think that Jordan Howard should have another decent game here. He got in the end zone twice last week. And if I'm not mistaken, the Lions got torched on the ground by the Vikings last week. Cook had a huge run against them. Latavius Murray got in the end zone against them. So I think that they're going to get out to a lead here and let Jordan Howard do what Jordan Howard does, which is run it up the middle.
Yeah, I like that. We've kind of switched spots here because I've been kind of talking about Jordan Howard and now you are, and then my start of the week is Kenyon Drake.
Oh,
so,
no!
No!
I don't do it. Don't do it.
Maybe you should have been my I start him for you.
Yeah,
I'm looking at him just because Green Bay has given up 24 plus points to running backs in their last 4 games, and they've given up 5 touchdowns to running backs in the last 4 games as well. And I don't think, even as terrible decision maker as Gase is, I don't think even he could mess this up. Like you just have to know that Kenyon, you're like you mentioned at the beginning, offensive linemen are hurt. Let's hike the ball. Let's dump it off. We know Kenyon's great receiving. We've got receivers hurt too, not practice. Let's just let Kenyon loose this week. That's the hope. So that's my goal of the week there and running back.
All right.
Go
ahead. No, I was going to say, who's your receiver?
Yeah, my receiver this week is Julio Jones. I think he gets another touchdown.
Oh, 2 in a row.
I think he gets another one.
Go to Vegas, man. If he gets 2 in a row, you're lucky. You're hot. You're hot.
I think he's one of those. You know when you get a dog and you're trying to either get them in the water or get them in the car that first time, they're iffy. Once they get in and get comfortable, the next time after that they're in there. I think Julio's comfortable. He said, I'm in here, it's not that bad in here. I can still get strikes and get touchdowns. I like it.
It's nice in here. This is cool. This is why you guys keep coming down here.
That's me what the hype is all about. I think I got my swagger back. Yeah. Let's get back in that touchdown this week.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope so, because I'm a Julio owner and I'm a Julio fan, and I liked him in those coordinates, man. He looked good in that end zone. He looked good. My wide receiver of the week is Jarvis Landry. I'm sticking with the Browns here. As of a couple of weeks ago, he was the most highly targeted wide receiver in the league. Michael Thomas may have taken that over. I did not check that stat, but getting 10, 12, 13 targets a game, eventually you're it. I also think Thielen was up there, but last game wasn't so good for him. So if Thomas is not number one, possibly Jarvis Landry is after Thielen's lackluster game, so to speak, last week. So I'm sticking with Jarvis Landry. And again, they're playing against Atlanta, and you would think they would have to keep up in this game, and they're going to be throwing the ball. So, all right. Tight end. I'm going with Uzomah from again, this comes down to just not having anyone else to throw the ball to there for Cincinnati. Right. He's obviously talented. They do have a role for a tight end in that offense. It hasn't quite come to be what we was hoping this year for Uzomah, but if there's a game for it to happen, it's this game here. So I'm rolling with him as my tight end start of the week.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. My tight end is Travis Kelce, and I know on the surface that looks like a super obvious pick.
Right.
The reason that I really, really, really like in this game, even though they're playing the Cardinals, obviously that's a reason to. with Sammy Watkins being out, as we saw, I think it was week 7. I think they played when the Patriots. I can't remember who they played, but when Sammy Watkins got injured in the first half, we saw an uptick in Kareem Hunt mainly, and we saw an uptick in Kelsey as well. The thing about going against a team that's not very good, that's not going to keep up with the Chiefs, is when you have a huge lead, the passing game goes down, so the receivers don't really do much, and it goes all to the run game. But the tight ends, no matter what the score is, tight ends are used, period. They're going to be used. So I think this is that's why I've mentioned him as more of an obvious one because of that reason.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You're gonna roll Kelsey.
You're gonna roll him out.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, you have a very good. You probably have a 1 out of 2 or 3 shot at him being the top guy of the week. So, I mean, you didn't quite go out on the ledge there. I've got to say.
well, my first guy. You know what? Okay, and you're right. You're right. So let me go.
I'm messing with you, man. That was good enough. Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Start Kelsey, guys.
Because I had another guy, and that was a super obvious one. This one might be obvious too, but I only marked him off because he's the Monday night game, and I preach on here that I don't like to wait to Monday night. But I would be willing to wait to Monday night for George Kittle for the same reason as Sujay Uzomah, just because that's the guy that they're going to throw the ball to on that offense.
Right. Yeah. Kittle's a lovely player. I like him, and I'm so sad that I didn't have him. I think what happened was at the beginning of the season when we were drafting, he had gotten hurt. And it seemed like might have been one of those seasons where he was not going to be able to stay on the field. If I remember correctly, last year he had gotten hurt for some time as well, and I just didn't want to play that game. And I've always been one of those guys to kind of go mid-rounds for a tight end, round 7, 8, which is why I kind of ended up with Burton and Kyle Rudolph in a lot of leagues. And then you see him there in Washington when Jordan Reed was healthy, that Kirk Cousins liked his tight end, so I really felt comfortable with that. Rudolph's been okay. I think he may still be top 10 tight end, maybe dropping a little bit. Didn't have a good game last game either, so we'll see. But Kittle, definitely roll him out there. Is it your time for defense? Do I
go? My defense is Chargers.
Okay.
At Oakland, 12th against the pass, and their pass rush is fantastic. And I think that they will be forcing Derek Carr to make a lot of errant throws. And I think Doug Martin was on the injury list, popped up on the injury list this week. So I think we'll get some turnovers and kind of jump out there.
Absolutely, I like that pick. My defense of the week is the Packers. Green Bay Packers against the Dolphins. And this has nothing to do with besides me wanting to thumb my nose at Adam Gase. Because you know what I know what he's going to do? He's going to take Frank Gore, and he's going to run up the middle 30 times for 44 yards, and he doesn't care. Because you know what? Frank Gore looks like he's running hard. Packers, baby. Let's do it. All right. All right, man. My sit of the week, Adam Gase, he just irks me, man. I can understand giving Gore maybe 10 touches a game. Hey, let's spell Kenyon Drake. Let's get Gore out there. He's older, but he come in with fresh legs. He has a little power to him, a little punch. I can even see him being the goal line back. Do not give him 20 touches a game. When your best player on offense is Kenyon Drake, period. Everybody knows it except for you. I'm moving on in my life. All right,
is
man.
Is there a way we can we make Adam Gase our sit of the week?
Can we yes, you can do that. Sit Adam Gase. Sit him, because he's an idiot, man. I'm so mad with him right now. Really, like, just walking up the side of the street. Don't let me see you. Anyway, I'm going sit of the week, man. It's Evan Ingram versus the 49ers.
Yes.
I hope I didn't snipe you there, but the 49ers, surprisingly, they are tough against one position, and that is the tight end, probably because every other position is going off. But the tight end does not score well. There's only 2 tight ends this season that have scored, that have gotten over 50 reception yards, receiving yards on the 49ers, and that was Jimmy Graham, and that was Kelsey. That's it. Those are the 2. Outside of that, no one else has done over 50 yards receiving against the 49ers. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what Evan Ingram does. Even though he kind of acts more like a wide receiver sometimes, but I still think he's going to be limited.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree with that. My sit of the week is Andy Dalton.
Oh yeah,
for your obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I know. For me, it's a huge sit of the week because, like I said earlier, I was a huge believer in streaming Andy Dalton against good matchups this year. And without AJ Green, there's no appeal there for me.
Absolutely. All right, man. So those are the starts and the sit of the week. Let's go ahead and move on to one of my favorite segments. I'm sitting them, so you start them. I'll go ahead and start this one off, man. I am sitting Golden Tate this week, which means he's going to go off for like 6 receptions, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's going to do it. So go ahead and benefit off of my misfortune and bit off my skepticism that he's going to come in and do well. He's going to double up Amari Cooper, man. He's going to have a great game.
Well, if you're right, then we're gonna whoop the Cowboys. If that's the case, so I love it. Yeah, my sit for you start is Mike Davis or Chris Carson.
Oh wow!
I don't believe. I think this will end up having to be a passing game for Seattle, and they will get out of the run game quick. So with that being said, either Chris Carson or Mike Davis will go over 100 yards and get in the end zone and also have 50 receiving yards. And I will be sitting here looking looking a little upset. Yeah.
That's all right, man. I actually hope it's Chris Carson because I could use a little pop here, man, in one of my leagues. So, but yeah, it's inevitable. Anytime the logic says to sit someone, that is the week to play him, but you just can't. You got to sit him down. So Golden Tate and Mike Davis or Chris Carson, guys, go ahead and get them in your lineups because Dave and I are sitting those guys. All right, I have one more. This is actually the exact opposite. I'm starting him, so you sit him. Everything in the world says this guy should have a great game, but inevitably he's not because I have him in my particular lineup. And that's Boyd. That's Boyd. He should be the focus of the offense there in Cincinnati. He should get all the targets. He should have a Michael Thomas kind of a game, but it's just not going to happen. They're going to roll all the attention towards him. He ain't going to get anything, but I have to start him. I have to put him in there. So I'm rolling him out there. I'm starting him, so you sit him.
You know, I have one of those too.
All right.
Duke Johnson for me.
Okay.
Going up against the Falcons.
He's due for a letdown. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All the usage we saw from him last week, it just looks like that he's going to be incorporating this offense so much more. They're going against an Atlanta defense, even though they just got Bruce Irvin. That's not a huge deal for me. I think Duke Johnson, everything points, the stars are aligned for Duke Johnson to have a great game, and he will be a no-show.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm rolling him out there.
All right, guys. Well, there you go. We're starting them, so you sit them, Boyd and DJ Johnson. So. I mean, not Jesus Christ. Johnson.
Duke Johnson.
DJ Johnson. Duke Johnson. You guys go ahead and make sure you put those guys on your bench because we're starting them. All right, man. So we've made it through this show here in about an hour. Have a couple of listener questions we're going to go over, but things are going pretty well. We're getting better, man. We're getting quicker.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Look at us.
Absolutely.
Handling things. I think a part of this was the fantastic game of the Giants 49ers.
Yeah, you're probably so much analysis on that game. You had to dive deep there. Oh man, cut 10 minutes off the show because we had to talk about the Monday night game. That's hilarious. All right, man. Let's go ahead and jump on these listener questions. You said you had a few.
Yeah. So one guy asked, should I drop Marquise Goodwin? It's a dynasty league. He wants to know if he should drop Marquise Goodwin due to the fact that the quarterback change, now having Nick Mullins, doesn't really look towards Marquise Goodwin's way. So he wants to know if he should drop, trade, or hold on to him in a dynasty league.
Well, obviously, when you're looking at dynasty, you're looking at this season, and you're looking at obviously the seasons coming forward. That's what dynasty means. You're playing more than one season, and normally you're keeping the same players on your squad from one year to the next, unless obviously you drop, trade, or whatever.
Right.
The question really becomes is, if you drop him, what are you dropping him for? So
Right.
Who are you picking up? And is this a short-term pickup like a Chris Conley? That may help you out for the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, possibly, until Sammy Watkins comes back? Are you in that predicament where, hey, I'm, 4-4 or whatever, and I'm on the cusp of the playoffs, and I need a little pop? Maybe you do drop, Marquise Goodwin for Chris Conley or a short-term boost.
Yeah.
If you're firmly in the playoffs, I'd probably keep him. If you're firmly out of the playoffs, very likely out of the playoffs, I don't think anybody's 100% eliminated this time. But if you're firmly out of the playoffs, I also keep him, because you do know that either Chris Mullins is going to be a lot better next year, or Garoppolo is coming back, which we know Garoppolo is coming back. As we were speaking about earlier, possibly there may be a quarterback competition there. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, there's no quarterback competition. Garoppolo's back, and he and Marquise Goodwin seem to have a little bit of a connection. So I don't think you drop him unless you're dropping him because, hey, I need something right now. Or unless you see a better dynasty option out there.
Absolutely.
I don't
Yeah.
know who could be on waivers. Depends on your league size and all the rest of that great stuff. But a standard 12-man league, unless you're talking about like MVS or maybe Christian Kirk, something like that. If Sutton somehow or another is still out there, maybe, because you're thinking next year they're going to be even better. Maybe, but no, I think I would be holding on to them unless you need a short-term boost.
Yeah, I agree. I looked at that from when I got this question. I looked at it as a long-term goal, and I immediately thought to myself, well, when Jimmy Garoppolo comes back next year, Marquise Goodwin is going to go right back to the favorite target, right back to what he did the last 5 games of last year.
Right.
So, yeah, totally agree with you there. Next, I have this listener actually had a couple of questions, so we'll dive into the more difficult ones first. So his super serious question for this week particularly, he wants to know our thoughts on Sony Michel in PPR this week. Going up against the Titans, who are 11th against rush yards allowed. They've only given up 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. This will be Sony's first game back since the injury. And he just wanted to know what our thoughts were on him this week.
Well, New England has shown no issue with throwing him back into a full workload after an injury. The question is, we not being in in New England, camp, not being in their practices, and them being so secretive, you don't really know what's going on with him and what his percentage of health is. If he's 100% go, obviously you're putting him out there. I don't care if it's against the Titans or not. If he's 80% or, I don't know. So I would just watch the practice reps here on tomorrow. If he's a full practice, I'd feel pretty comfortable with it. It also depends on your other options on the bench. If I'm looking at Sony Michel or Mike Davis, I probably roll Mike Davis because I know Mike Davis is healthy and I'm not going to get a scratch on me, or I'm not going to get, half a game where all of a sudden Cordero Patterson's taking half the snaps. And again, if he's 100%, New England will throw him out there full time, but you never quite know. Then also James White's looked so excellent. I mean, how do you? I don't know. New England's kind of strange. Maybe they will, but I know if I were a coach, I'd be like, hey, this guy's playing so well. I got to make sure I get the ball in his hands a little bit more. So it depends on what you have on your bench. It depends on, I would probably say, just watch Friday carefully and see what happens with his practice reps.
Yep. Couldn't have said it any better myself. I think that was perfect. He also asked, the news came out about Rex Burkhead being back in practice, being able to play by week 13. He asked if we had any concerns for Sony Michel there. I don't know. My answer is no.
Nope.
I think they brought Sony Michel in at the beginning to replace Burkhead. They just didn't because they were working Michel in. Michel's worked in now. I don't think Burkhead returning is going to do anything to halt Sony in any way.
No, I mean they'll get Burkhead out there a little bit, but see what really confused me about that situation earlier in the season. I thought they brought Sony in to replace Deion Lewis.
Oh, Deion, yeah.
And you could see it was pretty evident. I don't know what was happening. Did they want to see more of Sony game? I don't know, but the year before with Deion Lewis and Rex Burkhead, and Deion Lewis had a great year. He averaged like 5 yards a carry last year. He was doing great, but it seemed like no matter how good he was doing, they would throw Burkhead in the game. He would get like every other series or every third series or something like that, and he would get a lot of the goal line work too. So I thought that was still going to be kind of the split. I thought that was going to be how it would work out. The issue is the last couple of games before Burkhead went out with injury, Sony took the majority of the game. You hardly seen Burkhead out there, and he was supposedly healthy. Now, maybe he was dealing with an injury. Again, New England's very secretive with their injuries. Maybe he was dealing with an injury. That's why he wasn't out there. I don't know. It was kind of strange. I don't think he got hurt. He did get hurt in the game, but I don't think we've seen anything on film that made you think, oh, my God, he, sprained an ACL or whatever. He just kind of went to the locker room, and all of a sudden he's out on IR. So I guess the question is the what was happening there, the level of Burkhead's health coming back, and if it is truly doing this plan to phase Burkhead completely out of the offense. But I, at this moment, don't feel any threat by Burkhead coming back in Week 13. So I still be very, very, very comfortable with Sony. In fact, I have Burkhead on my team. I've been thinking about possibly, with the news coming out that he can return this season, packaging him with another player to trade. Maybe get a little, get some positive momentum, or take that positive momentum for him and turn it into a trade. So I'm thinking of that myself.
Why? Well, yeah, I didn't think about that. Possibly a sell candidate with the expectation that him coming back and still having a role there. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right.
We kind of talked about his next question. We already talked about throughout the show. He wanted to know what our outlook was on Fournette for the rest of the season. His next 4 games are the Colts, Steelers, Bills, and Colts. And I think that we both agreed that the Jaguars are going to make sure they're using Fournette. They've been monitoring.
I think the real question that you have here with Fournette, and I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry, but the real question here is his health. It's his health. Is he going to be out there or not, or do you think he's going to have another setback? That's the question. Who he's playing against and all the rest of that great stuff. I mean, unless you're one of those stacked teams, hey, do I play Fournette or Kareem Hunt or something like that? You're probably not looking at that. If you drafted him in the first round, and your other options are just not as good. Maybe unless you got James White late, or maybe a Marlon Mack, something like that. And if you did, kudos to you. But if you're like most of us who didn't get stacked up like that, you're rolling him out there. I do have a league where I have him, and I think I picked up Aaron Jones. And if Fournette's playing, I'm playing Fournette over Jones until he's hurt. So it's just a question of his health. So my outlook is I have no clue how Fournette's going to come back and do, but you got to put him in your lineup.
Right. And real quick, since you brought up Aaron Jones, he just got one more question. But the news came right before we got on the phone. The running back coach for the Packers said if we're running the ball 30 times, you'd like to have him have 20 of them, talking about Aaron Jones. Does that excite you at all? The Packers have only ran the ball 30 times once this year. But to but to see that they want him to get the majority of it, does that does that reaffirm your confidence in Aaron for the season?
No. I mean, it's coach speak, and it only matters if they put it on the field and actually do it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that makes sense because he's the better back there. This is not a situation like Miami where he's the absolute best player on offense, and you're not giving him the ball, Kenyon Drake style. But he is better than Jamal Williams. I think he might even be better in pass catching. I mean, he's more dynamic runner. If you get him out there in space, he can make more things happen. So absolutely, it makes sense to do that. But if they run the ball 30 times, that means Aaron Rodgers is throwing maybe 20 times. And really, we have to go back and look at those numbers. But when was the last time Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 20, 25 times? Probably not very often.
Right.
So I still think, you'll be lucky to get that 15 touches a game. And he can do something with that. That's not bad. Again, I'm not putting him over top-tier guys until they show that commitment, though. A real great question, a real good comparison would be Kenyon Drake or Aaron Jones. Who would you put in?
Yeah. Wow, what a question. That's matchup dependent for me, but I would roll with Aaron. I would have to go with Aaron Jones just because of Gase.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I can understand how the Gase effect makes you put in Aaron Jones. The Gase effect is real. Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, this last one basically. This one, when he first sent it to me, I was like, dude, are you serious? But thinking about it, I'll just get into it. So he's 6-3 in his league. It's a standard scoring league, and he has AJ Green.
Okay.
He's thinking about dropping AJ Green, who we know is out for at least 2 weeks. Could be more, but at least 2 weeks. So his return game would be against the Browns. His other receivers, he has Devin Funchess, Tyler Lockett, let me see here, Emmanuel Sanders, and Cortland Sutton. And he wants to know if dropping A.J. Green, which, like you said earlier, depends on, kind of depends on who's out there. I didn't get that information. But not knowing that, how do you feel about dropping A.J. in his position in the standard league?
He's 6-3, likely going to the playoffs. I mean, if he doesn't just kind of poop the bed, I'm going to assume he has some decent running backs here or something like that that's, keeping this team afloat. It sounds like the worst idea he could possibly come up with. No, you keep A.J. Green until they tell you that he's done or something like that. They say it doesn't require surgery. He should be back in a couple of weeks. Let's say 3 weeks. 3 weeks, you're talking about coming up with the precipice of the playoffs. Sounds like he'll be in the playoffs, and you can use A.J. Green. If you're going to drop anybody for any particular reason, and I'm not quite sure who he's talking about picking up here, because you got to drop him. I'm assuming you're picking something up. Funchess. I'm done with Funchess.
Yeah.
No, I'm keeping A.J. Green.
Definitely, yeah, I agree with that. And he had mentioned to me about Matt Ryan versus the Browns this week. He said he's rolling out Matt Ryan, but he just wanted to know if there were any stats out there that kind of reaffirm him on that. And I just wanted to mention to you that the Browns are missing a couple of cornerbacks this week.
Should be a fun
couple
game.
Key pieces. Yeah, also a key linebacker is out for them. And I wanted to let you know because he brought up, he said the Browns have been getting turnovers lately. I just wanted to mention these past few games. The Browns gave up 365 yards to Jameis, 257 yards and 2 touchdowns to Big Ben, and then 375 yards and 3 touchdowns to Patrick Mahomes. So I think you're fine rolling out the number 2 quarterback in fantasy, and I think that's a good game.
Get Ryan out there, absolutely. Well, folks, we want to say thank you guys for coming back around, listening, and supporting us once again. As always, Average Joe's, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Dave, do you have anything else for the people tonight?
Enjoy your football and enjoy your weekend.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next week. We're signing off.